Do you remember the story of 𝗪𝗁𝗃 in Sydney?
Foot turned up on the beach, wasn't it?
Yeah, foot washed up on the beach somewhere. One aspect of what she was running is common, which is, she was holding herself out to be a financial advisor who was really successful, who gave this amazing advice and everyone will make loads of money if they invest with me. But what she did, which is common, is you go to invest money with these people and initially it looks real because your returns are really good, right, for the first few months. And that's how they get you. They'll get a little bit of money initially. You'll see your returns are good. You'll be like, oh, this is legit. Then you put more money in. It might take a while before you realize your money's not there.
And I think some of the scariest ones was a deep fake scam. All right, welcome back to the Winners Playbook. Josh here with Billy. Today we're going to be talking about scams and hacks because they are on the rise, but we're going to be talking about a few simple steps that you can take to slash your risk fast. Today we're going to be diving into some real life stories of some scams that we've personally seen and also talking about how you can protect yourself and your family from falling victim to anything that's out there. But before we dive into our topics, Billy, what's been happening on your end and how's the week been?
Hey Josh, what have been up to? So as you know, in the US a few weeks ago with a bunch of advisors, and what inevitably happens with these trips is because when you're over there, some of the big fund managers might have you for lunch or have you to their offices. So then some of them will then come out to Australia and tour around and they want to catch up with you. So one of the fundies, I went and saw them last night at a bar in the city as a pretty unique fund. This is what we call a high conviction resources fund. So they're buying mining stocks and resources stocks, but they've got pretty hardcore views on things. And this guy it's like an older guy, very, very bullish on oil. So he was giving us this very strong case around why the oil price is going to go crazy. All the oil stocks are massively undervalued. Even went, a bit controversial, went on a big rant about how EVs are going to be dead within 3 years outside of China. Yeah, so it was definitely one of the more interesting presentations I've been to. So that's what I was up to last night.
Yeah, no kidding. So he was from the US, was he?
Yeah, he flew out. He even brought his wife. So I went out to chat to him and his wife after the presentation. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. He must be a fan of Trump's drill baby drill. He must be a fix.
So I think so. Yeah,
I would say so. No, it's cool. I didn't have any drinks in the last couple of nights or anything, Billy. I was a little bit sick actually, but I've plowed on. But lots going on. The first homeowners guarantee scheme is actually launched this week, so the 1st of October. So I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that have tried to hit the markets, and things are going to be quite busy there. I've definitely noticed and seen an uptick in the Melbourne property market. Definitely seeing a lot more people out there purchasing and a lot of activity going on there at this point in time. Although it doesn't look like interest rates are going to move for the rest of the year. I think the markets are pricing in the possibility of a cut at the back end in November, December, but don't know how likely that actually is. So yeah, lots happening there. And just had some real interesting client cases and scenarios that have been quite fun to work on, which I won't get into the weeds of it, but some of them are, have got some very large shareholdings and liquidity events that they're looking at making in the coming year. And we're exploring offshore considerations and ways of how they can potentially sell companies worth millions and millions of dollars tax-free. So it's very, very interesting stuff. I haven't really got my head into this before, but it's been very interesting learning about it and speaking with a lot of different accountants that actually specialize in this space. So I'll keep everyone posted on how that one plays out, and maybe once it all comes to fruition, maybe we'll do a podcast deep dive on those topics itself. But today talking scams and common scams. Unfortunately, I've seen a fair bit of this, Billy. I've actually had family members scammed. I've seen multiple clients get scammed as well. So we're going to be diving in on what are those common scams, ways you can protect yourself. And personally, I've even got a few little tips I'll throw in there from people that I've spoken to in the past. But if we start with common scams that are out there, Billy, I think we were chatting beforehand, you haven't really come across or seen firsthand yourself, had any clients fall victim to any of these, have you?
No, either that or they haven't admitted it to me. I haven't had too much personal experience with that. Definitely a fair bit of like identity fraud though, identity theft and people losing access to their bank accounts. Like there's been a huge uptick in that sort of stuff happening.
Yeah, well, like the common ones, like if you break them down, there's phishing scams, so like the fake texts, emails, people pretending to be your bank, the ATO, the Oz Post. I think everyone gets those texts, and unfortunately, a lot of people would probably fall victim to them. But some of them are a lot easier to spot than others. Like we get the emails quite often, and very often the emails pretend to be either Steve or myself, and they message staff. And yeah, I remember one of them. We had a staff member join, and on their first day, they were sitting in the board. I was in the boardroom, I believe, and they were at their desk. And then they had a fake Josh email go through to them to tell them to go out and buy a bunch of gift cards and to not tell anyone. And so it was their first day, and they're like, "What's Josh telling me to go out and do this for?" And then yeah, lo and behold, we looked at it. It had the name right, but when you normally look at those emails and you see the email, it's just some fake email. So yeah, they're definitely getting a lot smarter. But the ones that I've seen people actually fall victim to is some investment schemes. One late one that I've had and seen is a quite complex actually. A new client of ours, he said he'd put some money into some US stocks a while back and said he's going to be able to pull it out and it's going to like quadruple in value in the coming months. So I'm naturally like, okay, this sounds a little interesting. Can you tell me more? And yeah, these scammers have gone to the extent of actually sending fake tax file documents from the US to make it sound like he has to keep putting money into this system, and then to then get his money out, he has to put more money in. But the documents that they've been sending like look totally legitimate, like tax documents from the US. So the average person would, yeah, I can see how sometimes people would naturally fall for these things. But you know, when you break it down to the core of it, when things are usually too good to be true, usually they are, when you're seeing these promised guaranteed rates of return or doubling of money, or the one that I've seen a couple of people fall for is you put money into some sort of platform, albeit Forex or crypto are the common ones where people fall for this. I've had 2 clients personally I've seen fall for this, and then you have to put more money in to get your money out. So they keep making you put more money in to promise that you're going to get money out. So look, that I would hope that's a red flag for people, that they would understand that. But I think these scammers really play upon people's emotions and that, you know, that lust for quick cash that everyone always wants, and therefore it's quite easy for people to fall for these scams, unfortunately. And there's a couple others I'll mention, but yeah, what do you think about those, Bill?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things come to mind. Do you remember the story of 𝗪cie in Sydney?
Yeah, we foot turned up on the beach, wasn't it? Was it
Yeah, foot washed up on the beach somewhere.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and she one aspect of what she was running is common, which is, she was holding herself out to be a financial advisor who was really successful. They gave this amazing advice and everyone will make loads of money if they invest with me. But what she did, which is common, is you go to invest money with these people and initially it looks real because you can see like your returns are really good, right, for the first few months. And that's how they get you. Like they'll get a little bit of money initially. You'll see your returns are good. You'll be like, oh, this is legit. Then you put more money in. So it might take a while before you realize your money's not there. So sort of like, people fall for that because it comes back to like greed, right? Like you see you making money, like, oh my God, I'm making all this money. I'm going to put more in. And that's how they lure you in. So yeah, that's one thing to watch out for. Just those guarantee of high returns, or even it looks like you're already achieving the high returns.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And some other ones like there's remote access schemes. I've seen scams. I've seen those before. So you're downloading some software, and then people will access your computer and laptop, and then they gain access to your bank details, etc. That one actually happened to my mum in a way. So the situation was she got her car windscreen replaced, and the place that she got it done at, their email was compromised by some scammers. So they then sent the invoice through to my mum that looked like it came from the company. It all came from the company's email, etc. Soon as my mum opened the attachment, I think they call it malware, like deployed on phone, laptop, etc. And then they were then able to remotely access and watch her on banking and all the things that she was doing, went in and drained all of her accounts just simply like that. Which in that situation, the banks were quite quick to act, and fortunately she got like her money back, and then the person was actually ended up being found. Weirdly enough, I think his name was Muhammad and he was living in Sydney. So they found him and actually got the guy. But those ones I see are quite common. So looking and seeing attachments that come through, and then you download those, your laptop is compromised. And I think some of the scariest ones are, again, not to be all doom and gloom here, but another scam I've seen a client get hit with, actually not an actual client of mine, he was a potential client, was a deep fake scam. And this came through from TikTok, because there's all these fake accounts that are out there on TikTok, and unfortunately TikTok doesn't do anything to stop them. And they message clients, they reach out to them, and they just keep creating these duplicate accounts of ours and just keep on following our followers and reaching out to people. But this one basically had a guy, he was putting money into some crypto platform that looked like the shonkiest thing you could ever imagine. But then they were actually calling him on, I don't know, FaceTime or some app, and pretending to be me. The client or the guy literally said he thought he was talking to me. And I was like, you definitely were not talking to me. I have no crypto scams or anything of sorts on the go on the side. And so, I found out that he'd put about $15,000 into the platform. But again, it was another one of those things where you had to keep putting money in to then get your money out. But he said he'd actually spoken to me on camera. And so it was what we call a deep fake. And that's like that voice cloning. You see it on these days, like AI, like sometimes videos, you don't even know if it's real. You're watching something of a president or whoever's done it, and you actually don't know these days if it's actually AI generated. So you got to be so careful with all of these things, because again, unfortunately, I've seen clients firsthand actually fall from. So I think everyone's just got to be a little bit more careful out there these days, because you can quite easily fall for it. But what if we talk about some habits to actually reduce your risk and what that looks like? I think some of the easiest ones, Billy, are just having strong passwords is for one. Not just saying your last name 1 2 3 4 or having 1 2 3 4 in there. The other one that we're really big on as an advice firm, and a lot of other businesses, like two-factor authentication. So like when you're logging into your banks or whatever it may be, you log in, you do your password, but then a code goes to your phone, and then you get the text, and you have to add that in. So having like two-factor authentication, that's generally pretty common on a lot of different platforms these days. But other ones I would mention, and I think should go without saying, is actually just looking at your bank accounts. Like I probably look at mine a little bit too often, because it's just such a habit of mine now. I look at them pretty much every day, but looking at them say once a week even, and just look at the recent transactions, and just you might notice some suspicious activity. I've seen that again with family members before on holidays. We went away, and then they're like, hang on, how does that work? And their credit card got compromised somewhere along the journey, and were able to get some of their money back. So there's a lot of little things I think you can do to really reduce your risk. But any that come to your mind, Billy, in terms of
and we've seen it. You've probably seen the same with your clients. Increasingly, when clients get a message or an email from us, they might think it's a scam, and they often check. Like they'll text me directly. Sometimes they call the landline, which is actually pretty clever, I think, because call landline, you're calling the actual building, right?
Yeah.
And they come through to me that way to check, and they're always like, sorry, I'm so sorry to check, just doing it. And I always tell them, no, I'm glad that you're doing this. Like, I don't want you to get, scammed or something. So if you're ever unsure, call me, text me, call the office directly. I don't care. Like, so we don't want any of our clients getting ripped off or anything. So doing those checks, like just thinking, okay, how can I verify that this is what it looks like?
Yeah, super important. Like the sending of the money one is, you've got to be so careful of. Like I've heard from some friends that work in cyber, and particularly around mortgages and settlements, where there's large amounts of money moving, you're having to send deposits here and there. Some of the stories I've heard there are scary on terms of money going missing or being intercepted and going to the wrong accounts. And one habit that I picked up from a guy that a while back that told me about, which I think everyone should do. Anytime I send a sizable amount of money anywhere, what I do is I send $1 to that person or that business, and I generally don't say anything, and then I wait for the person to ask me, like, "Why'd you send me $1?" And then, okay, well, I know it's legit. But yeah, like you said, Billy, also following up with a call to the business itself because is really powerful. But yeah, when I normally send that $1, if I haven't heard from them, I'll then give the business a call and say, hey, did you receive my deposit? And then they go through and, oh yeah, the $1 hit. Yeah, cool. Just making sure it's the right account. Then you send through the rest. So I think you put all of those things together, you can definitely go well in terms of protecting yourself, and particularly when you are making large amounts of movements of monies. But what about if you've been compromised, Billy? Have you ever seen anyone get compromised in any way, shape, or form? You know, there's the changing of passwords. Yeah, any thoughts there? What you'd be doing if you actually got compromised in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I mean, usually, like if you're dealing with a bank, you just got to tell the bank straight away. They'll just freeze everything, which is also a pain in the ass. And that leads to another point of how to protect yourself. Don't have all your money with one bank and one bank account.
True.
Because if anything goes wrong, they just shut you down and lock you out until it's sorted.
So true.
So yeah, that's one of the first steps I'd take. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Just go straight to the bank. Like when those people I was mentioning earlier had like been scammed, like one of them hadn't even been to the bank. I'm like, tell the bank straight away. Like you're depositing your money in and out of there, and there's a possibility they might be able to pull it back, or at least you might be protected in some way, shape, or form if it's not too late. So I think, yeah, contacting the bank, particularly change your passwords as well, is another important one. There's a bunch of different resources that the government provides online, like ScamWatch, ID Care, and I've had firsthand experience there because unfortunately it was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was doing a work with a professional of which I won't name, and they basically forwarded all of my identity documents onto a fake email that they thought was someone else in our business. So they forwarded on my certified passport, certified driver's licenses back to this fake scam email. And I spoke to a friend that works in cyber, and he's like, check your credit score and credit rating, or you can not subscribe. You can actually open an account with one of those companies. I think it might have been Equifax, I think it's called, one of them, or something, or Equinox or Equifax or something. And so I basically created an account, and then it would give me a notification if there was any hit on my credit file whatsoever. So if anyone tried to open up credit cards or any sort of action was occurring, because that's commonly what will happen, is that if they have your identity, they will then go on to open up accounts. Like they can actually do that and open up a credit card and then just, blow through it. So for a while there, I had that actually set up so I'd be notified and flagged if anything severe was to occur. But fortunately, of course, nothing actually happened. But I think if you put all of those things together, but yeah, the government has some really good resources as well. If you ever feel like you've been compromised, I think there's some free helplines that you can actually call as well. But always starting with your bank, I think, is probably.
And this is where we should. We rarely give a shout out to the banks, but I'll give them a little one here because there's a narrative of like, don't trust the banks and moving to blockchain and crypto and all that stuff. But if something goes south in that world, you're screwed. There's no intermediary. Like there's no, your money's gone. With the big banks, at least if something goes wrong, there's a very good chance that they're going to help you out.
Yeah, and even talking to that as well, that can sometimes talk into, before we close out, like possibly using, if you have a credit card, using the credit card over the debit card, because sometimes the credit card can actually have stronger fraud protection if you are compromised in any way, shape, or form, as opposed to just using a debit card where you're just basically taking money out of your bank account. So always worthy of considering that. And some other ones that I've seen people do is actually when they're buying things online, because you can never be too safe, actually using like preloaded cards with money on it for online transactions, so that if it is dodgy in any way, shape, or form and their card was compromised, well, that's not, like you sort of said earlier, Billy, you don't have all of your money in one account. It's only got a small amount of money in there. Or I suppose you could probably do that just with your own bank account, not get a preloaded card, but just have an account that you always keep with a small amount of money in it. And then when you do your online transactions, say you're buying $100 worth of something off Amazon or some website, transfer the money to that card, use the card, and then it's got no money in it from that point of time onwards, just in case it is compromised. I think that's probably
100%. And before we close out, I'll leave you with a story that just came to me.
Yeah, let's go.
So here's what not to do. this was nearly 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And I went with one of my mates to Thailand, and I'd never been there before. We get there, you get all excited the first day you get there, you go out, you drink too much. We did all that. We decided to save money. We would walk back to the hotel instead of getting a cab, and a cab would have been $3, right? We're like, we'll save money. After spending probably $100 on drinks, like, we'll save money by walking home. Really smart.
Mhm.
It's 3 a.m. and a group of lady boys approached us, like they appeared out of an alleyway. And they started walking after us and calling out at us and so on. So we're sort of walking faster. And one of them runs up and grabs me around the waist. And my friend just sprints off.
Yeah.
Like, he just leaves me for dead. He's running down the street. I'm wrestling this person off. I've ripped their arms off. Anyway, I run off. And of course, they've taken everything out of my pockets, right? And
Yeah.
I find out a few minutes later, it's all gone. What was in my pocket? All my credit cards, all my cash, the keys to the hotel, like just everything was in. The only thing I didn't have, luckily, was my passport was back at the hotel. But I had everything else, and that was it. I had no, and this is like 2007 or whatever. It's like before smartphones and all that.
Yeah.
So I had to like get money off my friend for the whole rest of the trip.
Yeah. Wow. Well,
So there's what not to do. Just go out and have 20 drinks and have all of your possessions in your pockets
I thought the story
in a
was
foreign country.
Yeah, I thought the story was going somewhere else for a bit, Billy, but no, that turned out well. That turned out well in the end. It's a fair point, because actually getting your new passports and driver's license and things, you would be surprised that it's not as easy as you think, and actually it can take quite some time. Going back to when my mum got scammed a couple of years back, the process of her getting a new passport and license wasn't easy. So yeah, you got to be super careful around all of this stuff. And if you are walking down a street in Thailand late at night, maybe don't have all of your goods on you at the same time. That's a good story to close out on, Billy. But in all seriousness, of course, keeping safe online doesn't need to be technical. It's all about just getting the right habits and keeping it pretty simple. Two-factor authentication is always a good one. Even setting alerts on your apps or your phone, like whenever we transact on our cards or credit cards, like I actually get a notification on my phone, so I can see what's actually happening. So I think if you can stick to the basics and just have that awareness moving forwards, you've pretty much won most of the battle at that point in time. But I think the big takeaway with this as well is share this with your family members, and particularly the older generations are clearly going to be the ones that are most at risk. So if you're finding what we're talking about useful, please do pass on the podcast, share it around. Give us a follow, leave us a review if you're getting a lot out of what we are speaking about. But before we close out, Billy, any plans for the weekend, or just a quiet one? It's pretty good weather down here in Melbourne for the weekend.
Yeah, well, my wife's going away on a girls' weekend, so I've got the two boys, so I've got to figure out how to entertain them. So that'll be my main task.
Yeah, I don't know what, because you went out on you did some bike riding in your last weekend. Anything more to explore in the new area, or?
I need to explore, but
Yeah.
my 4-year-old broke his leg a little while ago, so it's still coming good. So he's not allowed on the bike yet. So I want to be lurking around playgrounds, I would say.
That sounds good.
How about you?
Yeah, what's happening? I'll be doing a bit of work around the house. Actually, we're still finishing off the outside sort of area. I'm not one to be hands-on with the tools, but I'll probably have my father-in-law come down and give me a bit of a chop out and show me what to do, and scream at me a few times for not knowing what I'm doing. So I bought a nice tool set actually the other week that I'll try and get some hours up on the tools, but we'll see how we go. But until next time, Billy, I'll see you then, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Disclaimer. The information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances. Please head to the show notes if you wish to book in a free 15-minute call to discuss your personal situation.